Welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and do a 2021 comparison against the iPhone 5S, which is on my left, and the iPhone 5, which is on my right. Now, obviously, I don't think anybody should be buying any of these phones this year or this day and age, but it's still very interesting to see what the time difference has been between these two phones. And honestly, the iPhone 5S has surprised me by how good of a phone it's still been. I mean, the software is still pretty relevant, Touch ID, I mean, everything. But I'll be honest, the more I use the iPhone 5, the more I'm surprised how good of a phone this still is. So I will probably not leave either one of these linked down below. But if you want to pick up some of the phones that I would recommend this year, links are down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see they are essentially almost exactly the same phone in terms of the front. The main difference is the iPhone 5 does not have Touch ID. It has that standard home button, where the iPhone 5S does actually have Touch ID, which I think is really cool. It just makes the phone feel that much better. And I think the biggest difference, which I wanted to hit on later on, but dude, the software is just so miles apart between these two phones. In terms of thickness and thickness, you can see pretty much the exact same thing, not really that big of a difference. They both have lightning ports and headphone jacks on the back, and on the back of them, they have glass back, kind of, so they have like glass shards on the top and bottom, but they have this aluminum back on the back, and dude, I don't know what it is, both these phones, these are like some of the best built iPhones of all time. They look so good, they feel so good, and I want to ask you guys, which one do you think you like more? Do you like the gold version this one is, or do you like the space gray version the iPhone 5 is? I don't know, I think I like the iPhone 5 more, but this one just looks so good. Both of them have their pros and cons, bro. They look so good. So that essentially covers it up in a body standpoint. Now again, the biggest difference between these two phones has to be the software. The iPhone 5 started off with iOS something, it's now ended off with iOS 10, and I think that's been a decent spot for it to end off. I'm glad it didn't, end off super late either, because I feel like if this phone got iOS 12, it probably would be a buggy mess. But in some ways, this is actually a more stable, well, except for that little part. This is kind of a more stable phone, I think, on iOS 10. I was expecting it to be super laggy every time I open it up. I forget how good of and how solid a phone this still is. Now, on the iPhone 5S, this phone stopped at iOS 12. But the funny thing is, the software versions couldn't be more different. I mean, this is like a very current version of iOS 12. This thing, I think, came out not even a month ago. So that's a massive thing. When you have a phone like an iPhone 5S, yes, you're pretty much outdated for a couple of years, but the software, I mean, technically, I mean, iOS 12.5.4, that didn't come out that long ago. That probably wasn't even like 2 weeks ago or like a month ago or whatever from when this version came out. So that's another really big thing. So when you're getting one of these phones, yes, the iPhone 5S and 5 are 1 year apart, but the software, I mean, the iPhone 5 stopped getting software support, I think, like a couple years ago. The iPhone 5S has been getting software support for a very long time. Even though it's 2 years, 3 years old almost, it's still software supported, which is pretty crazy. So in terms of that, that covers it up there. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between these two phones. I don't know if I was going to because the sunlight's right here, but we'll go and give it a try. The iPhone 5 had that Apple A6 chip inside of it with 1 gig of RAM. The iPhone 5S has that Apple A7 chip inside of it with 1 gig of RAM as well. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. So as I thought, the sunlight is in the middle of both of them, but it's totally okay. It's not that big of a deal. All the apps are cleared out in the background, except for this one. Let's get into music. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 5S definitely faster. The iPhone 5 was a little bit slower. Again, the iPhone 5 is on the right, the iPhone 5S is on the left. Let's get into their app stores. 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 5 had a little bit of a pop-up, but the iPhone 5S was definitely faster. And scrolling speed is probably going to be about the same. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's even get into the settings. 3, 2, 1. And they were on different panels. I'm surprised the iPhone 5S didn't go back to the home screen even though I exited out of it. Let's go and load up some of these third-party apps. Let's get into Snake versus Blocks. 3, 2, 1. And definitely even on clicking on it was faster on the iPhone 5S. Although the panel looks like it was faster on the iPhone 5, which is very weird. And it looks like the iPhone 5 loaded up faster than the iPhone 5S. That makes absolutely no sense to me at all. Getting into some gameplay, you can see the iPhone 5, they're both very glitchy, but I think the 5S is a little bit less glitchy. I don't know why the iPhone 5S was acting like that. That was crazy. Let's get into Stack, which I don't have. Let's get into Twitter. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 5S was faster. iPhone 5 telling me to go ahead and update the app. Okay. Let's get into Temple Run 2, which I don't have on here, which is very dumb. I have Facebook 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 5S faster, iPhone 5 a little bit slower. Snapchat 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 5 was actually faster there. The iPhone 5S a little bit behind. Could be because of an update thing. I'm not too sure. Let's do the original Temple Run 3, 2, 1. Now they could be on different versions of software, so or like different state in the game. So I'm not too sure if they're gonna load up at the same spot, but we'll see. And the iPhone 5 does tell me to do something, okay. I'm not too sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure the iPhone 5S would have been faster, but that's still very strange that ended up being the case. So let's go ahead and get into some gameplay here. And it's already butchered, but you guys can probably see that both are. I'm surprised how glitchy the iPhone 5S is. I didn't think this phone would be this glitchy. So that essentially covers it up in the speed comparison standpoint. I mean, it's pretty crazy how big of a difference there is between these two, and more so how big of a difference there isn't, because I was expecting there to be a bigger difference between these. I mean, I'm surprised the iPhone 5 was able to handle like almost every single thing I throw at it. And even in like a RAM management standpoint, the iPhone 5 is doing much better in terms of RAM management than the iPhone 5S. It seems like the iPhone 5S is glitched out every single time. Going into settings, let's see. And the iPhone 5 has glitched out again. So in terms of RAM management, the iPhone 5 definitely wins. I think speed, I think the iPhone 5 did pretty good on both ways. So in terms of that, that covers it. Let's go and hit on the cameras. Now, both of them have single camera setups on the back, 8 megapixel sensors. I think the main difference is you do have 60 frames per second in slow-mo on the iPhone 5S, where the iPhone 5 does not have slow-mo capability as far as I know, but even then, both these cameras are fairly old, so there's not really like a huge reason to compare these two in the beginning with. The front cameras are also around the same as well, so there's not really that big of a difference in that standpoint either. So that essentially covers it up in a camera standpoint. Now to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you buy an iPhone 5S or should you buy an iPhone 5 in 2021? Now, I will tell you, I would not recommend buying either one of these phones in 2021. There are a bunch of other phones that are much better than these in the market for like not even that much more money. I would way rather recommend buying an iPhone 7 at the minimum, maybe a 6S, but definitely an iPhone 7. They're going to be much better than these phones in my opinion. But I'm actually surprised how good the iPhone 5 was today. This is a phone that came out many years ago in 2012, but even the fact of me making this video still, and the fact that this phone was outperforming the iPhone 5S in some ways, is definitely pretty crazy to me. You know, I think the iPhone 5S is the better phone, but I'm still surprised how good the iPhone 5 was. It was beating it in some app opening speeds, but it definitely killed it in terms of RAM management opening speeds. Now on the iPhone 5S, I think this is a great phone, mostly because of the software enhancements. It's been getting software updates like crazy. It's just like, it just doesn't end. Like it's still getting support, which is beautiful. I think this is a perfect phone for a lot of people out there, and I'd recommend it. Like if you want to get a phone, the iPhone 5S is definitely the phone for you. I think it's solid. I think it makes a lot of sense. There's not really a huge reason to pick up an iPhone 5 when you can get a 5S for like not that much more money. But definitely, like I mentioned, I would not recommend buying either one of these phones. Definitely buy an iPhone 7 at the bare minimum. If you can afford more, go for it. But, you know, definitely when it comes down to these, the 5S is better. But I'm still surprised how good the iPhone 5 is of a phone. So that pretty much covers it up. If you guys want to pick up any phones, like I mentioned before, links are down in the description. You can help support the channel at the same time. Leave any comments that you guys want. Hit the like button, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.